I'm sure God would understand the steps we're taking.
Those who oppose them, die.
If this mission fails, if we are unsuccessful, we have no future.
We've had enough! Isn't it about time that people realize the ones posing the most threat are none other than yourselves?
This is not me. This result is natural.
What this is war.
Commence destruction.
Now, these pirates will shake the foundations of the Alliance and change the course of history.
The attitude that's ticking people off.
If they can stay alive,
Those Gundam pilots are desperate. Abandoning it means forfeiting their lives. Mission accepted. Of course not.
Just like it is with the stars, there are bright ones and there are those that are dim.
both sides prepare for the final battle. Suit up.
Nothing good can ever come from staying with normal people.
Be very careful.
Mankind has reached the stars.
There has to be some form of punishment.
Love the women that face plastic. Those are the ones that love me. Time out! Get set! And go. But I'm surging with women. Hillary Clinton's a bigot. He would not be my first choice, that I can tell.
You think you'll be in jail?
Would I approve waterboarding? You bet your ass I approve.
And I'd bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding.
Go on your mouth. This system is rigged.
where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
I guarantee you there's no problem.
I think we should take a drug test prior to the delivery. I never heard that one before.
Circuitry and metal, cold and emotionless, carry out tasks without conscience. Robots, thousands, programmed for destruction. March towards the future is coming. Man's greatest inventions, making the impossible possible, are no longer under our control.
Technological strain will just become a threat to the Earth.
This new breed of technology makes humanity obsolete. Robots, thinking, acting on their own, begin their march toward domination. These machines, built by man, serve no one. The robots among us, watching, waiting, calculate their new world order. Their time is coming. They cannot be stopped.
Attention, strange weapons are approaching. Attention, strange weapons are approaching.
With perfect weapons and superior intelligence, robots rule this planet. Let the fall of mankind give way to a new age.
This little buttball of a thing is doomed anyway.
Century 0079. The 1-year war rages on. Space droids against Earth dwellers.
I'm gonna drive this evil forces right off the Earth.
Zeke against Betty.
Not bad for a Betty, but I bet you're not ready for this.
As both sides prepare for the final battle.
Run for it!
The secret love of two enemies may be mankind's only hope for peace.
Really gets you to believe you will still fire at the enemy.
They're no better than they are.
We're in a fight,
Again.
There are endless possibilities stretched out before him.
Trust in your own power.
Whatever happens from now on, you stand firm and face your destiny without fear, but with courage.
What awaits him down the path, he will then have to choose.
No one's gonna give you a map. You've gotta walk your own path.
Children leave their homes in search of this quest.
What is thy desire?
As they search, they are always asking questions. What's out there? What's waiting for me?
Why was I made? Who made me? And what did they make me for?
Are you gonna go into space with your old man or not?
Maybe I'll never get over this.
I've lived my life following my dreams, and I don't have any regrets.
You're gonna just keep running away?
Just keep running away? I'm not running.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Believe in yourself and create your own destiny. Don't fear failure.
Let him cook! Let him cook now! Let him cook! I said let him cook!
Y'all dealing with a different kind of animal here.
Oh, hey, my mic's working this time. Let's go. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Controlled Substance. I'm your host, Orphan. We have a good show tonight. So, it's going to be less formal than it usually is. We're going to watch both the new Andrew Tate video, because for those of you who don't know, he finally got charged today. And he, despite what you think about Andrew Tate, he's been calling the shots. And I've got some thoughts on what's next for him and how he's different than maybe potentially he's thinking. We also want to talk about Tucker, because he's talking about Hunter Biden. Hunter got a plea deal, basically, for, he got like a light charge on tax evasion and like owning a gun he shouldn't have had or something, but like really, really low level shit for Hunter. And so today's theme is around how unfair. Today's theme is, we're boomer themed today. It's about how unfair everything is. And of course we know this. Of course it's obvious that things are unfair. But I want to see what both the men themselves are talking about, how they're talking about it, and then I want to see what our local Fed Watch Tucker has to say about it, because I think I have an idea of what he might say. It might be along the lines of Democrats, but we'll have to see. How is everyone else today? Y'all doing good in there? You doing good in the little computer box? Pop open this drink and gather myself after such an epic intro. Epic handshake. You know what we need to do is we need to call up Putin. We need to call up Putin, and we need to bro fist over the sea, and we need to just get all of Russia's money, and then have like a Christian, like an Orthodox Christian takeover of the universe. That's what I've been thinking about today. Okay. Let's hop right into it. All right. What's up, wife? How are you downstairs? Okay. First things first. Let's start out with Andrew Tate. Tucker dropped later this afternoon, I believe, so that's kind of a last-minute edition. If we don't get to it today, we can go over it tomorrow, but turn down the music real quick here. Pick a random Ye quote.
So they're gonna have to take my life before they take my people.
Oh, very accurate.
We ain't taking it no more, bro.
We ain't taking it no more, bro. All right. Here we go. Andrew Tate shirtless in a in a whiskey room. The old shirtless whiskey room. All right. Let's see what he's got to say. I watched part of this earlier, but I haven't seen the whole thing, so I want to see how it ends.
Formal conversation. I was going to put a suit on and do this formally, but I think it's better if I do this informally. Highlighting some of the things that everybody already knows about how the Matrix operates and what they're trying to do to me and what I believe is going to happen next. It's quite interesting that they are attacking me and attempting to vilify me at the exact same time, whereas real predators, which work for the media establishment, are being...
Real quick. I want to, just in case anyone's watching this later but not familiar, I want to go over the actual charges. TMZ is probably our most reliable news source here, so let's go with that. Andrew Tate is officially facing charges of human trafficking, rape, and more in Romania. This coming after 6 months after the kickboxer turned social media influencer's arrest overseas. Yeah, so he's been arrested and he was in jail for 90 days, and then he's just been on house arrest for the rest of that 6 months. Okay, what are the charges? Does it really not say what the charges are? Get it together, TMZ. Just put his charges up. It's not that hard. I know TMZ doesn't do that much, but should at least just put... Is it just... Are the charges not even out? I thought I saw them earlier. It was like rape, sex trafficking, and like organized crime or something. Okay. Rape, human trafficking, and forming a criminal gang to exploit women. I didn't know that was an official charge, but based. If he had done it, based. If not, then, I guess it's good to slander someone. Okay, back to it. Just wanted to get the charges.
So it's really interesting to do a juxtaposition and do a comparison, right, between how they will treat Philip Schofield, who is confirmed as a groomer, who is admitting he has committed sexual crimes, and how they'll treat me, a man with no convictions and no admission of sexual crimes. Look at the differences in the headlines. Look at how soft they are in their interviews with him.
You've had quite the week. How are you?
Look at how...
I'm sad, man. I got caught. I'm sad, all right? Sue me. That face says it all, doesn't it?
They are in their interviews with him.
You've had quite the week. How are you?
See, that's the face when you've done it. When you haven't done it, it looks more like this. You know? Just that's just an off-the-rip vibe check here. This is more of what you look like when you haven't done the crime. When you have done it, you look like a Muppet in a white hospital room. I don't know much about Philip Schofield, but this makes me not like him a lot.
Look at how now, after only 2 or 3 days, the headlines are saying we should forgive him and feel sorry for him and let him off. Whereas me, who's been under constant media assault for over a year, they never let up. They never change. Someone sent me a clip yesterday of Philip Schofield saying he's going to kill himself and how sad he is.
Last week, if my daughters hadn't been there, then I wouldn't be here.
Why?
What did he do? I gotta look this up right now. I'm not familiar. Is that how you spell his name? Philip Schofield. Elton John? Did he rape Elton John? I hope not. I like Elton John. What is going on here? Oh, the Mirror. That's a tabloid, isn't it? Sky.com. The old Brits. Oh, I hate the pop-ups. Unwise but not illegal relationship with a younger male colleague, which he lied about for years. Okay, so he's like a British personality, and he was banging a, sounds like barely legal boy. Okay, well this makes sense then. Protect the gays, destroy the Chads.
Why did they keep pushing me? Why do they keep pushing me, playing the sympathy card? And all the headlines are now like, yeah, we can't keep attacking this poor man. For 1 year they've attacked me, and they will not stop. And this highlights the difference between the people who are on the side of the establishment and the people who are not on the side of the establishment. I've been offered to sell my soul very many times. I want everyone at home to understand, you do not become the most Googled man on earth, especially amongst a demographic of young men which have money to spend, without very large companies and corporations becoming extremely interested in you. I've been offered $50 to $60 million by companies I'm not going to name. All I had to do was shut up. Shut up, take the money, wear the stupid hat, wave around the stupid drink, whatever it is, and continue to agree with whatever the Matrix says, regardless of my own personal feelings, my personal views and beliefs, and just push it on the minds of young children. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to sell my soul. If I would have sold my soul to a large corporation, and then this attack happened, which I very much doubt this level of Matrix attack would have even happened to me, but if it did, then this large corporation would speak to the media, and the media would be treating me like they treat Philip Schofield. True. They wouldn't be treating me as an enemy, they would treat me as an ally. All I had to do was sell my soul, and I refused.
Awesome. Okay, so this is the first stopping point. There we go. Tate is 100% right here. That if he was in bed, if he had system money, because he has money himself, right? So it's not just a straight up money thing. if he had, it's more about influence and it's more about being part of the game than it is about money. So, no matter what you think of Tate, you have to give it up for him if this is true, which it seems to be. I mean, they've been coming after him. He's not lying for a year. I was a little skeptical how he handled getting kicked off of social media in the first place. Because if you remember right, he came out with like an hour-long video and he said, well, I guess they're just going to do this no matter what. So his takeaway was he needed to be more careful about what he spoke about. He needed to make sure that he couldn't ever be taken out of context. And then he quickly said that we're moving to Rumble. Yeah, it was Rumble right off the bat, I think. And then he tried to build his base up there. It was so close to an apology that I was a little bit nervous. It was a little, you could tell he was, I think he was genuinely, like, I'm sure he knew that it was coming, but it seemed to take him off guard a bit, how extreme the pressure was and how coordinated it was. It seemed like he would think, it seemed like he was thinking, oh, I'll get kicked off of one thing and then later it'll be another thing. You know, there will be like a plan of attack here that you can see coming. But it was all one day. It was clear that they got in a boardroom behind the scenes and just, Tate's gone. So, that being said, from his response to that to his response to jail and this time around, night and day. He's nailed it so far in my book, just from a PR perspective even. And we'll get into it a bit later, but this is exactly the move that he needs to be doing, is saying exactly what's happening, calling his shots, and refusing to back down, not apologizing. Apologizing doesn't get you anywhere. It doesn't help anyone. If you don't back down, then the same people are going to hate you, but the people that love you already are going to love you more, and you're not going to lose any of them. You're probably going to gain new fans. So, great stuff from Tate so far.
The recent BBC interview that took place, I don't think most people understand genuinely how snaky that interview was. The reason I had to destroy her so ruthlessly is because of how the interview was set up. When I was in jail, the BBC was constantly trying to get me to give an interview over the phone, and I refused. When I left jail, the BBC begged me for an interview, daily begging me, and for 3 months I refused. Eventually, once I understood, after my 3rd month of house arrest, what the Romanian government is going to do to me, which we're going to discuss shortly, I thought now would be a good time to get an interview. BBC begged me, saying that Romania has one of the most corrupt justice systems in Europe, that there's serious problems with the case, lots of evidence that's been leaked shows Andrew's innocent, that Andrew's side of the story hasn't been heard, that we're interested in fair and unbiased journalism, that we don't want to come there and do a hit piece, we want to speak to him and try and find out the truth of what's happening. In fact, we're going to send you the questions we want to ask in advance. I'm not a coward. I never ask for questions in advance. I don't care, because I'm a professional, and I will destroy anyone instantly. But they sent us a list of questions, which was shown to me, and I was like, well, those are actually interesting questions. What's my mental health like? What's Romanian jail like? What's it like being in a courtroom where everyone's speaking a language you don't understand and having your liberty deprived of you? I thought, this is going to be an interesting interview. I agreed. The BBC, all nice smiles and all lies, sent us this entire spiel, turned the cameras on, sat down, and attacked me.
Have you ever put any and applied any psychological control on any of the women you dated? Or
No, and I respect women. This idea that a man...
What a stupid question. Like he's going to say yes. Not only did they try and attack him, they attacked him with just retard level questions. So have you raped anyone? Did you do bad things? It's like, dude, no. He handled that really well. Remember when we went over that? We didn't watch the entire thing on stream, but he did pretty well in that interview. So.
And applied any psychological control on any of the women you dated?
No, and I respect women. This idea that that I'm so much smarter that I can hypnotize somebody, I think is extremely misogynistic idea. I think your idea is misogynistic to believe that women don't have their own free thoughts and free minds. They attempted to sucker punch me. They attempted to shake my hand and knock me out with a sucker punch once the cameras were on, to hit me when I was off guard. They expected me to be off guard, ready to talk about my mental health, and hit me with these questions and me make a fool of myself, unaware that I'm a master of Aikido. And when you attempt to sucker punch me, it simply misses, and I destroy you.
I think we're done.
His rhetoric is like a kung fu movie now. And I destroy you.
Unmatched perspicacity. Just because I'm the best there's ever been, and me, with my quick thinking and nearly incomparable wit, can sit and destroy a professional reporter and her entire research team's preparation, just because I make that look easy, doesn't mean I should be forced to succumb to these unfortunate circumstances. 99% of the population, if they were tricked the way I was tricked, would look a fool on camera. They were very prepared to try and make a fool of me.
That is true. It's really hard. I'm sure public speaking is hard for anyone. And being under this much pressure and having an interview with one of the biggest news organizations in the world, that is really high pressure. And he handled it very well. Not only did he handle it very well, he was seeing the big picture and he was seeing the undercurrent of the attack at the same time. So it feels like he's kind of coming into his own here. It just feels like he's kind of nailing some of these moves, and he's seeing the game for what it is. He still hasn't talked about the transportation department at all, but I don't know if you're talking about the system as a whole. I guess that's good. That's good. The transportation department is just like such a tangible thing that people can get behind for action steps.
Throw transport down the well.
But we'll see. I don't know. Maybe he's going to drop like a hard J someday. Maybe it'll be based. We'll have to see.
But I'm the best there's ever been. Did they do this to Philip Schofield? No. Where was the BBC's outrage when Rolf Harris or Jimmy Savile were touching children? They don't care. Where's the BBC's outrage when certain other people, high level in society, members of the royal family, are caught having pictures with minors? They don't care. But they will continue to try and convince you that I am something I am not on repeat over and over and over again. These people are worse than disingenuous. They are worse than simply liars. They are evil. They are a club. And if you sell your soul and join the club, they offer you protection. And if you don't, they aim to destroy you, which is what they're trying to do to me.
Yeah. It's a mob. This is exactly how the mob works. It's protection money. If you don't pay them their protection money, it's like how the mob works. If you don't pay them your protection money, your pizza joint is in trouble. You know, you're not paying them to actually protect you. You're paying them to not come in and break your legs. And there is no difference between global power and the mob. It's the exact same structure. They entirely exist off of propagating their system. And if you don't help them propagate their system, then you get punished. God forbid you actually say things that go against or reveal their system for what it is. And this is the bigger picture. Like, we see the clear difference here between Tate, Trump, and then Sam Bankman-Fried and Hunter Biden.
The reason I decided to give the interview to the BBC is because I now believe that the next step, and I'm going to call it, because I've called everything that's happened to me so far. Look at my old interviews. I said, stage 2, they're going to try and put me in jail. I understand that you get 3 strikes in this game. Strike 1 is they try and shut you up and discredit you, which I've just been through. Strike 2 is they try and put you in jail for no reason. And strike 3 is they kill you.
The truth is this. So I knew it was coming. I absolutely not knew it was coming because of how orchestrated it was. The only thing, and I'll state this at the beginning, the only reason I'm upset by being canceled is because I've expired one of my lives. I mean, I'd never kill myself. Don't fucking try. But, bruv, because that's what's next. That's what's next. It's scary. I'm telling you, everyone thinks I'm paranoid. Everyone thinks I'm crazy.
So it's like every single organization on the face of the planet is corrupt. This is what I say to people. I say, listen, and I'm going to say this on this podcast now because I say it on every other one. I would never, ever kill myself. I truly believe they're going to come and they're going to try and kill me on a long enough time frame because they tried to shut me up and I won't shut up. They're either going to try and put me in jail or they're going to kill me. And I would never kill myself under any circumstances ever. And the reason I say this, and I say this to people, and they go, but what can they put you in jail for? And I'm like, how ignorant are you in your ignorance to believe they need a reason? You believe it's fair. You believe I can get a lawyer and prove myself innocent. That's not how it works. They decide you're guilty long before and they find a reason why. And it doesn't matter what you do about it, you will pay the fucking price. It's not fair. None of it is. Every single system's corrupt. It actually annoys me when people say that to me. Well, just get a lawyer. Why? They can't put you in jail if you're innocent. Yes, they fucking can. And that's what people don't understand about the world. They can and they do and they fucking will. And that's what's scary.
I'm going to call what's going to happen next. The Matrix is extremely angry. And they are angry because their weapons aren't working. I remain unfazed. This is the first time in history someone who's canceled became more popular than before. This is the first time in history where a full broadside of media lies for over a year across every single outlet that they control has failed. Nobody believes them. Nobody. So now what?
What about the Streisand? What about the Streisand effect? Boomers are livid right now. What? It's called the Streisand effect.
What did they do? Well, I believe the UK is going to try and raise charges against me. Don't know what for. I've done nothing wrong. Something's going to appear from nowhere. In fact, I will say that I have some very high-level friends and some whistleblowers who are confirming exactly that to me. They've looked at me and thought, we have to get this guy. What's he done? Nothing. Find something. Who cares? Get some papers, move some papers around, get a judge who'll stamp them, and put him in jail. It doesn't matter that I've done nothing wrong. I also want to say that I believe the Romanian government is going to charge me. They're not going to charge me because they have any evidence, and they're not going to charge me because I'm guilty of anything. They're going to charge me because after a 14-month investigation, 6 months of arrest, which is the maximum they can possibly give me without charge, I don't think they can just drop this. Imagine they just drop this tomorrow. Oh, we made it all up. Imagine that. What choice do they have but to charge me? If they charge me, I have to go to trial. Now, of course, I still believe in Romanian justice. I really...
And this is a good point as well. So, he's right. There still is a very thin veil of legitimacy to these governments. And so they do need to follow through on charging him. And it's not just because they need to save face, because they can cover that up with media anyways. The reason why they've attacked Tate so relentlessly for the past year is because this is how they change the opinion. This is how they change people's minds. They batter you with it. Does anyone remember the media coverage on COVID? For 2 years, non-stop, 24-hour news cycle, there was a death counter on most mainstream networks. Literally a counter of how many dead people there were from this overblown common cold. And this is how they get people. It's no longer a game. They make things up. They exaggerate. They editorialize. But it's no longer a game of opinion insofar as you have to believe it. It's a game of absolute numbers, battering, crashing waves at a boat over and over again until it capsizes. This is what they're left with because nobody trusts them anymore. Nobody believes anything they say, but because of our stupid monkey brains, if you say something over and over and over again, we will not realize how our minds are being shifted unless there is some introspection. And they realize this. It's the same thing with apps. phones, social media. Everything is about gaming the flaws in your human brain now. And the media is no different. They are gaming your brain by continuing to bombard it with lies. And if they keep it up long enough, which they can because they have the time, they have the power, they have the money, then the average person will change their mind. They are not harder than the system. There are very few people who are able to withstand that. And most of the people that are, honestly, just kind of stopped watching it. They just stopped watching they stopped looking at news, they stopped watching it, and now they just go off of what they see in their real life, and then those are the most based people that I know. Either because they realized what was happening during it, or because they subconsciously realized it and then decided to do that for whatever reason, you know? So, anyways, all this is to say, Tate's point where, like, they do need to maintain some sort of veil of legitimacy, but it's more important that they jam him up, right? Because like with Trump, they're doing the exact same thing to Trump. They bombard him in the news with negative press. And they throw charge after charge, impeachment, jail. They will continue to do this. And this is what Tate's talking about, that Britain will charge him with something. And then the U.S. will probably charge him with something. The people will keep charging him because it's not necessarily about actually trying to get him in jail. Although they could do that. If Tate went to jail right now, there would be riots. He is big enough and he's influential enough and big enough that they cannot really afford to put him in proper jail. House arrest is different because he can still talk to his people. But what it is about jamming him up. Time, money, house arrest, limiting all of the things that he can do to be an effective dissident. All the things that he can do to undermine their system. It's just about chipping away at it. Because like we talk about a lot, there's a very fine balance that powers that be have between making someone a martyr and effectively and efficiently marginalizing them. So that's also a part of it, but he's not wrong.
I truly believe that even with Romanian justice systems or matrix-controlled justice systems, I will be found innocent. Because I know the case file, I know what's in it. But that's going to take years. They're going to waste 1.5 to 2 years of my life, make me go to trial. Then when I'm found not guilty, it's been years. Who cares, right? Distance from event. If they drop it now, it's the biggest story in the world. They can't drop it. They're going to charge me. They're not going to charge me because I've done anything wrong. They're going to charge me because that's how the Matrix works. Unfortunately, I'm up against an enemy which I can't really, truly beat. I can't beat them. All I can do is continue to discredit them to the point where nobody believes them anymore. And I cannot do that without having perspicacious, intelligent people at home who are analyzing the situation and truly understand what is happening to me.
Oops.
If I have to martyr myself...
What is the amount, what percent do you think of Tate's fans know what the word perspicacious means? I think probably very few.
If I have to some degree sacrifice my liberty and the quality of my life to highlight how the Matrix operates, how the legal system and the media work hand in hand to try and convince the populace somebody is guilty before a judge says they are guilty because they have pre-decided to say this person is guilty because of his wrongthink. If I have to sacrifice myself to do those things, then I guess at least my imprisonment is a noble one. And I'm a man. And although Romanian jail is as close to hell as you can find on planet Earth, if I have to suffer it, I will do that because I will not sell my soul. The point of this video is only to highlight and make clear the differences in how the people inside of the club are treated versus the people who are outside of the club. And also for me to predict the future for everyone to understand. When new charges come, when new countries attempt to attack me, when the Matrix unrelentingly continues to print lies about me and tried to convince the world that I am a bad person, I hope it does nothing else but show the world that I am a good person. These people are liars. The people they tell you are good are not good. The people they tell you are bad are the good ones. Do not believe a word that they say. All in all,
it's opposite day up in this bitch. Tate's giving us the go ahead. It's opposite day in this bitch. We're about to go opposite mode. Opposite mode on some J's. Opposite mode on the transports. The transporties.
Throw transport down the well. The white man is back, baby. The white man is back.
Opposite mode, baby. Anyone who's good is bad. Anyone who's bad is good. And that's honestly exactly how it is. So, base Tate. Let's go.
My predictions for the future are not certain. My future is certainly not certain. Whether I'll continue to breathe or continue to be free, nobody knows. But the one thing I can guarantee to absolutely everybody at home, and anybody who believes in me and my message, and anybody who listens to me speak, I will never sell my soul, I will never be controlled, and I will never lie.
Oh, okay. Honestly, that was the perfect video. He did great, man. That was head and shoulders above anything else. Anything else I've seen from Tate, that was like the perfect response. Very happy to see that. Hold up, I gotta send the link to someone. That's trippy. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. Well, there you have it. I mean, honestly, that was really good. I don't know what you guys think about that. We can keep this up on, keep this up a little bit so we can go back and forth to it, I guess. But this is exactly what he needed to do the first time around. Rather than saying, oh, I guess I'll be taken out of context, I guess, and we're going to be going over here. That was necessary to some degree, but this is full Chad mode. Not only am I completely innocent, but they're going to try and do it again. They're going to do it again. Call your shots, because the way they operate is completely transparent. It's very clear what they're going to do. And anyone who's paying attention can see that's what they're going to do. And by calling that out, this is the main point I wanted to make about this entire situation is Tate is doing the correct thing in calling it out, because that is your only armor against the system. I don't know how closely you guys follow cryptocurrency, but I'd say every month for like the past year, it feels like that often. There is a new crypto billionaire, usually made in some shitcoin or potentially Ethereum or Bitcoin. Anyways, it's some sort of cryptocurrency. There's new billionaires that are popping up. And once a month, it seems like, throughout the past year, they just start dying very suspiciously. There have been multiple instances of this where this person's just missing. They were a normal person and after they die in this suspicious missing persons accident, it comes out that they had like $1 billion in cryptocurrency. That decision to take someone out like that, assuming that these are all hits, right? They may not be. Coincidences do happen. But the pattern is becoming suspicious, and the fact that nobody knows who these people are is putting them at much, much higher risk of having negative things happen to you. Imagine if Andrew Tate was more underground than he is. It's all of a sudden much easier. If you want to get rid of him, you have more options. The more that you go out, you call your shots, you continue to be loud, you gather a following, then they have to weigh far more seriously the martyr The martyr option. Usually throwing someone in jail would be a great option, but Tate's here live streaming, putting out videos from his house. It makes it harder to just toss him in jail. They've had the same math with Trump. They underestimated him. He became president. And then it's like, what do you do now? Like, you can't take out a former president. I mean, you can. We saw JFK, but there's a lot more information out there than there was in the JFK times. It's a lot easier to see, and it's a lot easier to create a martyr with someone who's constantly on social media, constantly sharing what they're doing and how they're being persecuted. So the math becomes very difficult. So anyways, if this ever happens to any of you, for whatever reason, your best defense is to do exactly what he's doing. You be belligerent about it. You make sure that people know if something happens, it's fishy. And the only step beyond what he's currently saying, and you need to tread this line very carefully so you don't give them more ammo against you, but the only thing that is missing is a very clear cause, because right now he's saying the Matrix. Well, the Matrix doesn't mean anything, really, and this is where we get to criticisms of Tate with his specificity about the transportation department or other very clear people who are ruining our society, very clear powers. The only thing that this is missing is if this happens, this is what needs to happen. But you also can't incite violence. Not that he would be saying that you need to be violent, but it gets real tricky when you start prescribing solutions for people rather than just saying what's going on in your life. So, but I would assume if pressure ramps up, then it almost doesn't matter at a certain point. If the U.S., if England, if Romania, if these are all coming after you, you have life sentences on every single one of those in every single one of those countries, then like at a certain point it's like, I'm not going to Fed post, but it's like, all right, let some peaceful speech rock, let's go out there and let's go out and talk some people's ears off, So anyways, that was good to watch. I'm still up in the air in general about like Tate, just because of the Muslim thing and just because of the previous OnlyFans thing. Like, I know that people change. I know that people can find God and shape up, but there's a little skepticism there. But honestly, like, it doesn't really matter if he keeps handling things like this. If he's genuinely trying to rage against the machine and make a big change, and if he's being put under this much pressure and refusing to give in, then fuck, man, I'm here for it. Let's go. I'll ride with Tate. No reason not to. Until he gives us one, I would rather err on the side of joining with someone who could change the system than write them off dismissively before they've proven themselves to be distrustworthy. So, kind of on this train, let's dive into the Tucker video. What time is it? It's like almost 6. Yeah, we have time for the Tucker video. Let's do that. By the way, if anyone wants to super chat, there's the link. I'll pop it in chat as well. You can super chat here. I'll read them at the end of the stream. If not, then you're dead to me forever. All right, bingo bango. Tucker Carlson. More like fucker Feddersen. That was so stupid. Episode 5. As in most of the developing world, it's safer to be the president's son than his opponent. Okay, let's do a little Mystic Mac situation here. Let's just take a little think, and let's say, what have we seen from Tucker so far? Well, we've seen very loose prescriptions for the problems. He's seems to consistently prescribe or he seems to pretty consistently identify the problem, but then he prescribes a very like a off the mark solution. So if he's talking about Hunter Biden, I can almost guarantee it's gonna be boogeymanning the Democrats. I can almost guarantee it, because any other boogeyman that makes sense is probably actually what's going on. And to an extent, Democrats are the problem insofar as Biden is a Democrat. But what the real issue here is that Biden he's in the gang. He's on the team. You know, he's in bed. So, let's see. Let's see what Tucker says. I want some based, unhinged Tucker action right now. I want Tucker to go sicko mode on these Twitter heads.
Y'all dealing with a different kind of animal here.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. This spring, word began to circulate in Washington that the House Oversight Committee, under its new chairman, Congressman Jamie Comer, had discovered criminal behavior after reviewing thousands of pages of the Biden family's bank records. Now, publicly, to the extent they responded at all, the White House dismissed the investigation as, of course, politically motivated. In any case, irrelevant. Hunter Biden was an adult, so his business dealings had nothing at all to do with his father, in this case, the President of the United States. But in private, everybody understood it wasn't quite that simple. There has long been overwhelming evidence that Joe and Hunter Biden's financial lives are not separate at all, but deeply intertwined. On Hunter Biden's laptop, there's a suggestion that the two of them even at one point shared a bank account. And of course, Hunter Biden wrote himself that he kicked back cash from his foreign business deals to his father. He wrote that bitterly. So the Oversight Committee's investigation was potentially a disaster for the White House, a scandal, possibly even the prelude to criminal charges. So in order to get ahead of all of that, Joe Biden's handlers did the one thing they could do. They set up an MSNBC interview to preemptively whitewash whatever Jamie Comer might find. Here's the result of that. This aired on May 5th.
Sir, there is something personal that's affecting you. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. How will that impact your presidency?
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
Okay, time for the master class. For free, you can audit it.
The only time that Biden can eke out a sentence is if it's scripted. I want to listen to that again. That's just like such a softball canned answer. What a joke.
Impact your presidency.
First of all, my son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. And it impacts my presidency by making me feel proud of him.
Okay.
I literally don't think I've heard him sound that coherent in ever, like since before he became president. And I'm not trying to go boomer mode here, but it just shows how these interviews are set up, you know. Like Tate was talking about, you get all these questions thrown to you. It's like, oh, this sounds great. And I know Nick has talked about this too. Like he got that well, speaking of, like Tucker basically set up that hit piece on him. He gets called and saying like, hey, we really want to do an honest story on you. And then it comes out just like, hey, why'd you rape someone? Hey, you, does it feel bad being evil? How's it feel to be the worst person on the fucking planet, man? It's like, whoa, I thought you were going to ask me about my mental health or something. And meanwhile, Biden, it's like, you know, what do you think about this situation that may or may not even happen? He's like, I love my son. It just makes me love him more. After 18 takes. All right, back to it.
Hey, time for the master class. For free, you can audit it. Here it goes. Sir, showing appropriate respect, says the shill, there is something personal that's affecting you. Note the wording. Personal, not of public concern, nothing law enforcement might be interested in, but personal, a sad family tragedy. That's the framing. And then this, a sentence choreographed to the letter. Your son, while there's no ties to you, could be charged by your Department of Justice. Got that? Well, there's no tie to you. So the answer is, in fact, in the question. Whatever Hunter Biden goes down for, and we know he is going to be charged because MSNBC said so, but when that happens, that's Hunter's problem. It's got nothing to do with Joe Biden. Rest easy, America. 5 days later, the Oversight Committee released its findings, and they were, in fact, devastating. Quote,
I mean, to be honest, look at this man. Could this man do anything wrong? Look at him. Look at that face. That's not the man. That's not the face of a man that has a son that does constant crack cocaine and hookers. Maybe I'm being racist. Maybe my preference for my own kind is showing here, but this just looks like my grandpa. This could be anyone's grandpa. Any white, red-blooded American. This could be your grandpa. So I personally believe MSNBC. I think they're on one here. Let's see some more Tucker's lies.
Later, the Oversight Committee released its findings, and they were in fact devastating. Quote, bank records show the Biden family, their business associates, and their companies, their many companies, received over $10 million from foreign nationals and their related companies, the committee wrote. Investigators had, quote, identified payments to Biden family members from foreign companies while Joe Biden served as vice president and after he left public office.
The big man.
So actually there was something there. It was a scandal. Racketeering, money laundering, wire fraud, those are some of the crimes the Bidens seem to have committed, in addition, of course, to selling out the United States for cash.
Hey.
So what would happen to them? Well, Donald Trump had an idea, quote, they'll hit Hunter with something small to make their strike on me look fair. Trump wrote that about 2 weeks ago, and it turned out those were prescient words. This morning, Hunter Biden pleaded guilty to pretty much nothing.
Why doesn't Trump get on Twitter? I know maybe he has a contract or something, but like we got to save America here, Trump. I don't know half the things that Trump says because he's tweeting into a corner on Truth Social. Is anyone on Truth Social? What is their user base? It's got to be like 5,000 people a day or something. Literally no one is hearing anything. That was such a key for him in 2016. The fact that he's not on Twitter, if he doesn't get on Twitter, he's got, well, I mean, the fix is probably already in, right? But I want to hear these banger tweets. I want him to be tweeting out taco bowls at Trump Tower. I love Mexicans. Like, classics. He's got some more classics in him. He's not that old. Old people actually get more based half the time. So he's probably out there just like, he'll probably start tweeting just hard ends. Probably start just calling people faggots out and out. He'll probably... I almost wish that Trump had dementia the same way that Biden does. Because the stuff, when Trump slips up, he's not going to be saying like, salute the Marines or, well, what did he say the other day? Is like, God save the Queen. Just lame slip-ups. Trump's gonna be Trump's gonna be saying some unhinged shit when he starts to get dementia, and I can't wait for it. I hope it happens. I hope he wins, and then he gets dementia like the month after. So we just have demented Trump in office, full punish mode, just calling everyone faggots and like banning gay marriage and total monarchy. Chopping up the Jews. I hope he does it all. Anyways, a little tangent there.
Biden pled to 2 misdemeanor tax evasion charges, then entered a diversion on a federal gun charge. That's it. As far as Merrick Garland's Justice Department is concerned, Hunter Biden is done. There was no pre-dawn raid carried live simultaneously on CNN. There was no perp walk, no handcuffs, no press conference. Above all, there was no felony. Hunter Biden, who broke federal gun laws, can still carry a gun. It's like it all never happened. In fact, the Justice Department just baptized Hunter Biden. A lifetime of sins washed away in an instant. It was a secular miracle. Most miraculous of all, Hunter Biden somehow escaped a FARA charge. FARA is the Foreign Agent Registration Act, and it is exactly what its name suggests. Under federal law, if you are acting as an agent of a foreign nation in Washington, you are required to register with our government to let everybody know. Well, for decades, pretty much nobody in Washington did register under FARA, and precisely no one was ever prosecuted for it. No one. But starting several years ago, the Justice Department began sending people to prison on FARA violations. The official explanation was, we're cracking down on foreign influence in Washington. And of course, privately, everyone in Washington laughed. They knew that was absurd.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the opposite of the truth. Foreign powers have never had more power in Washington. Their agents are everywhere, in every federal agency and throughout business, down to and including in executive positions at various social media companies.
I didn't know about that. I've never even heard of FARA before. It makes sense, though. It's probably just people going over and doing some deals off the books. It makes sense that you would want them to be registered in some way, but literally, how are you going to prove that? That's just another example of one of these laws that's literally, it's only there to prosecute people who are not part of the system. Hunter Biden can go out, do that all he wants. Of course he's not going to get charged because it's a very nebulous law. What will happen is if anyone else that they feel like charging, that's a nice little container to put people in. That's a nice little charge to throw at someone. It sounds really important. It sounds, I don't know what the penalty is paired along with that, but I'd have to imagine that soliciting foreign power without the proper registration is probably like a good chunk of time. It sounds like some national security stuff. So even if it's not, it's another thing that you can tack on because, like, you can prove it. Pretty much anyone would fall under that if they're traveling abroad at any point in time. You could set something up. You could just take pictures and be like, they were here at this time. Like that's one of those charges that I'm sure can be abused. They seem to just be adding up, and so it makes complete sense that Hunter wouldn't get charged with that.
The Biden administration knows all of this, and it's not a problem. In fact, it's their policy. From the administration's perspective, the concerns and the demands of, say, the Chinese government, or particularly the Ukrainian government, are far more important than the needs of American voters. We're cracking down on foreign influence. Please. The point, the only point of enforcing FARA, after decades of ignoring it, is to harass and imprison high-profile political opponents. Trump donor Elliot Broidy pled to a FARA violation a few years ago. So did Trump campaign manager, famously Paul Manafort. He went to prison. Last year, the DOJ went after Trump confidant Steve Wynn under FARA. But in the end, the Biden administration overreached so comically that the whole thing was thrown out by a judge. But they tried. So as long as they're trying, if it was a fair system, Hunter Biden would be first on the list of those next to be charged with a FARA violation. In fact, many of them. Hunter Biden was a foreign agent. He never registered as one. But for years, that's exactly what he was. He sold access to his father and other lawmakers to the Chinese and the Ukrainians and countries throughout the world. There's no debate about that. The FBI has known about it for years. For years, they've had possession of Hunter Biden's laptop. But they didn't charge him for it today. They never will.
Yeah.
Why? Well, you know the answer. Hunter Biden has good genes. A more interesting question, though, which is another question the feds will never consider, is what does Hunter Biden do for a living now? This is a man with no obvious job and, of course, zero skills. He spent midlife smoking crack. Yet somehow he's managed to live pretty well despite rising inflation. He's been living in big houses in the costliest residential neighborhoods in the world. He's been paying his stripper baby mama 20 grand a month in child support. And he has retained a team of the most expensive lawyers in the country who spend quite a bit of time sending threatening letters to anyone who asks questions about how they're being paid.
Let him cook! I said
leave Hunter Biden alone, man. Dude, you can't tell me this isn't just a jealousy conviction. You can't tell me you don't want to be this man.
With no obvious job and, of course, zero skills. He spent midlife smoking crack.
Okay, this is one of the funniest pictures I've seen in my entire life. If you can't tell, I guess my logo's covering it a little bit. This is a crack pipe. He is asleep with a crack pipe in his mouth. And that's epic. It's like a literal real-life episode of, or like The Hangover, the movie. Little millennial reference for you there, but dude, he is so funny in the worst possible way, right? Because clearly I'm being tongue-in-cheek here. Clearly I'm joking. Obviously this is awful stuff that no one should be doing, but because it's so awful, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I have never seen someone fall asleep with a crack pipe in their mouth. And I never will because I live within a majority white area. I will never see this. Perhaps meth. I don't know how people use meth. Do they smoke it or snort it? Maybe someone like on the street has got meth rolling out of their mouth or what. Yeah, I don't even know. Showing my ignorance here. But this is the same type of party. We were talking about the youths running around and shooting everyone for Juneteenth yesterday. If you see this, there's a chance that you might get shot in the knee. there's a chance that you might be at one of those parties where the youths are going to run through and shoot you in the face, shoot your baby in the face. So just a word to the wise, anyone who's got a crack pipe hanging out their mouth, if you see that, head on home. Call it a night. Hey, what's up, Christopher? Glad you made it, man. We're just praising Hunter Biden for his total Chad punished mentality. He's going hard with the crack pipe right now. And the slideshow is such a classy move by Tucker.
What
Starting
does
out
Hunter
with
Biden do
butt
for
pic.
a living now? This is a man with no obvious job and, of course, zero skills. He spent midlife smoking crack. Yet somehow he's managed to live pretty well despite rising inflation. He's been living in big houses in the costliest residential
that face when you have 100 confirmed kills.
Neighborhoods in the world. He's been paying his stripper baby mama $20,000 a month in child support. And he has retained a team of the most expensive lawyers in the country who spend quite a bit of time sending threatening letters to anyone who asks questions about how they're being paid. We can confirm that firsthand. So again, what does Hunter Biden do for work? That's a fair question. And tonight we have the answer.
We just saw it.
For years, Hunter Biden was an influence peddler. Now, Hunter Biden is a self-actualizer. He self-actualizes for a living. He gets in touch with himself, his feelings, and he follows his muse. Here he is explaining his new vocation in a 2019 ABC News interview.
This is new. It's
Yeah.
your studio.
Yeah.
But now he's opening the doors to a place never captured by a paparazzi's lens.
Never
His
captured.
refuge, an art
They're making it out like it's the secret garden. A place never before visited. A refuge.
studio where he finds solace in painting.
What's the goal eventually?
No goal. That's the perfect part about it. It's just, it literally keeps me sane.
His refuge.
Dude, this is why we need to destroy postmodern art at all costs. My number one thing, besides just complete and total liberal annihilation, is postmodernism, and postmodern art needs to go out the window, dude. Thomas Kincaid needs to be the best artist of our entire existence. Realistic paint, like realism, actual skill, because otherwise, if you don't have that, fucking Hunter Biden's gonna come in here with literal watercolor drips in the shape of a bouquet and say it's his refuge. This is what liberalism gets us. It gets us absolute dog shit art. People used to have to go to school for art. Jackson Pollock is the worst of this. Jackson Pollock is the worst artist on the face of the planet. He just sits there and he like pisses and like throws hair and paint all over the place. He's like, it's about movement, bro. No, try shading anything. Like, literally just try shading something. Oh, that's so funny. I'm glad. I want to see Tucker rip into him a bit here.
Far from the paparazzi's lens. In other words, we're not the paparazzi, we're ABC News. What's the goal of this? Your refuge. There's no goal, he says, grinning.
How do you get... Okay, that's a awful in-between frame. How do your teeth end up like that? What up, Unison? What's up, man? My uncle was a pretty good painter, says Christopher. I like that. Dude, some of the best art that you ever see is going to be passed down from your grandpa or your great-grandpa. It's so good. And it's like actually skilled, more high skilled than most of the stuff that you see these days. But it has that charm. It has that like authenticity to it, you know? It's got that je ne sais quoi of a somewhat amateur, an amateur painter that is legitimately doing it as a hobby and loves the art for the art. They're not trying to like write a paragraph about a banana taped to the wall. So I'm here for that. Glad to hear your uncle was a good painter. That's good stuff right there. Unisim says, boy eating glass salads. Yeah. There's no other explanation for how your teeth end up like this. It looks like he had surgery for implants and the posts were just here. They forgot to put the actual teeth on.
He says, grinning with those fake teeth. It just keeps me sane. But actually, there was a goal. And if you didn't know what a virtuous person Hunter Biden was, you might think it looked a lot like money laundering. 2 years after that interview, Hunter Biden was selling prints of his art. And to be clear, just the prints, not the, quote, art itself, but effectively photocopies of it for $75,000 a pop. Apparently, Hunter Biden moved 5 of these repros in just days. That's sense. $375,000 in less than a week for signing copies of your fake art.
Yeah, it's called an investment, Tucker. Those were probably editions of 2, or they were probably like really limited edition. I can't believe that. I didn't actually even know that he sold prints for $75,000 a pop. Epic.
As for the paintings themselves,
and not suspicious also,
childish self-indulgent blots, those sold for $500,000 a piece. So the question is, who bought them and why? It'd be interesting to know. There's a story there for sure, but of course we have no right to know.
Goldratstein.
There's no public policy implication. It's not like Hunter Biden's finances have anything to do with his father's finances. Meanwhile, once his father did become president, corporate publisher Simon & Schuster lined up as well to pay Hunter Biden's bills. According to news reports, Simon & Schuster gave Hunter Biden millions of dollars for his highly selective account of his wholly unaccomplished life. And then the publisher lined up brainless celebrity endorsers like Dave Eggers and Stephen King to promote it. King, who apparently will say anything if it helps the party, called Hunter Biden's silly manuscript a, quote, harrowing and compulsively readable memoir. Damn. And then Stephen King described Hunter Biden himself as beautiful. Needless to say, the book sold miserably.
Dude, I would agree, though. He's like a beautiful train wreck. He's so off the goop that he is kind of like charming in a way. I feel the same way about Biden. It's like these guys are just so completely and utterly degenerate that they're kind of awesome in like an anti-hero way.
Miserably, but Hunter Biden got to keep the millions, and that was the point. And so on. This kind of thing apparently happened a lot. Again, there seems to be a story here, and we think it's probably worth learning a lot more about it and bringing it to you. In the coming weeks, we will. In the meantime, though, the question is, what can we learn from Hunter Biden's plea deal today? First off, the obvious. For the children of the people in charge, there are no penalties. There are only upsides. They're princelings. They can do what they want. You are not. Therefore, you can't. So don't get any ideas about cheating on your taxes or violating federal gun laws unless you want to celebrate next year's Father's Day through the glass in the visitor's room.
I was looking at this on Twitter, and blacks are really upset. Like, black people are super upset because, like, Lil Wayne and who's the other one? There was like 2 guys that had got gun charges, and they got like 3 and 10 years respectively. And so they're just like outraged. They're like, Hunter can still have a gun, and like these 2 miscellaneous rappers got like 3 and 10 years in jail. So I think that's how you need to get like the Black Twitter involved in politics, is just like don't charge someone for gun violence, or like I don't even really know, or or George Floyd, or just like decide to pick someone out and just martyr them, or turn them into a martyr.
The rules definitely apply to you, including rules you don't yet know exist. But there is also a deeper lesson here, a more disturbing one. What we're watching through Hunter Biden's life and through the Biden administration, now entering its 3rd year, is the total inversion of virtue. What was once considered admirable is now derided as stupid, if not racist. That would include achievement, intelligence, honesty, self-control, humility. Those are features of the old America. Those were yesterday's virtues. They are gone. In their place, all that we once considered contemptible and repulsive, we're told to worship that now. Here's a small example, but we think a revealing one. In addition to his many other sins, Joe Biden has hired what has to be the single dumbest, nastiest, most dishonest, most ridiculous person he could possibly find for the very public position of White House press secretary. There's a point to it, of course. It was a humiliation exercise. It was designed to degrade the country and dispirit the rest of us. That's the White House press secretary? Shut up! But here's the thing. The White House press secretary herself has no idea why she's in the job. She thinks she's amazing. Here she is in a clip we just saw.
A year in this role, there's been a couple of things that has made me incredibly proud. Many things that made me incredibly proud to be at that podium during this historic moment. Again, this is a historic administration. I'm a historic figure, and I certainly walk in history every day.
I'm a historic figure?
Yeah.
Imagine saying that.
I would say that.
I'm a historic figure, but she does. And she says it in a burst of sincere self-congratulation, marked by her signature bad grammar. Illiterate, but proud. Of course she's proud. Karine Jean-Pierre is now a historic figure, just like Hunter Biden is now an important artist. It makes you feel stupid for going to work.
There you have it. Okay, there you have it. See, it would have worked. She could have pulled it off if she was just like a fucking Chad. If she had the right energy and proper grammar leading up to it, she probably could have pulled it off. Imagine Andrew Tate saying that in his like dark cigar room Twitter interview. Like he could have pulled it off. It doesn't work when you look like a Cabbage Patch doll. Okay, well, honestly, you know, I preface this by saying that I think Tucker's going to go just like, it's because he's Democrat. It's because he's a Democrat. He actually did pretty good. He actually did pretty good. He didn't, once again, like we keep talking about when we're reviewing these Tucker episodes, he didn't take it to a logical conclusion. But he did say that Biden, both Hunter and Joe, they're in the in crowd. And that's true. That is true. So at least it wasn't disingenuous. It was like an accurate assessment of what's going on. It was a little bit boomer fodder, just in the fact that it's like, don't you feel stupid going to a job? Like, that you've worked hard for everything that you have. Can't you believe these guys, these lefties over here, they didn't have to work at all. It's that same kind of like smug dismissal that the mainstream right is known for. It's like, wow, can you believe the trannies are doing that? That's crazy. I can't believe they're doing that over there. And although it may be accurate, it really is not super helpful, apart from entertainment value. But that being said, a more light on the Hunter situation, and this brings me kind of around to my main point for the show today, is more light on both Hunter and Sam Bankman-Fried. Biden, Hillary, any of these completely dismissed heinous crimes that everyone sees by any normal standard of law would be prosecuted to their fullest extent, and they would be tossed in jail forever. Any of these things should be talked about, and not in a disingenuous meme way like Epstein killed himself. It's almost like Epstein killed himself is a complete fed phrase because it is trivialized the weight of what Jeffrey Epstein did and how heinous it was. And the connections, it prevents you from looking any further into it, right? It's like, I'm going to throw out it's like jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. It's another phrase you can say to placate to the base, to people that agree with you, and not have to look in any meaningful depth into what you're talking about. You can now post Epstein didn't kill himself rather than posting the image of everyone who's on his plane while flying to his private island. You know. Hey, thanks, Unism. Thanks for coming, man. Good to see you. So here's the thing. I found this Twitter thread. Let me pull it up. I found a couple facts. Okay. Bill Gates, no investigation. Oops. There's my socials. I pressed the wrong button. Okay. Bill Gates, no investigation. Hunter Biden, no investigation. He does have charges, but he's just going to plea out of them, so it's basically no investigation. Joe Biden, no investigation. Soros, none. And then you have the opposite side. And I'm preaching to the choir here, but you can see the clear delineation. Trump exonerated time and time again. Tate, seemingly no evidence. Like, really, if they found something, they would have actually charged him before 6 months. Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate are in the same boat, right? And I would add here on the top, I would add Sam Bankman-Fried. For those of you that don't know, he ran the FTX crypto exchange, which just lost $8 billion. Whoops. And then when some people look into the transaction history, it seems to be money laundering for Ukraine, other Korean shady stuff, irresponsibly handling money. Like, for all intents and purposes, FTX is just a money laundering scheme. Full stop. And I didn't add him specifically here because I read that his charges were dropped, but I then read further on in the article and it said they were dropped for the time being. They're actually just being pushed a few months out. Still not good. You would expect, I mean, what they're trying to do is wait out the clock. What you would expect if it was to be actually prosecuted fully is a very swift and rigorous inspection of what happened. The more time that goes by, the more people are likely to forget about what happened. Some people might not even remember, with how short attention spans are these days, that what FTX was or what the big deal was. It's huge. One of the bigger laundering, money loss scandal, whatever you want to call it, the whole mess of it. One of the bigger ones in recent memory. So, what do people that are not getting charged with these things, or getting light sentences, or getting deferred, what do they have in common? And then what do people who are getting the book thrown at them repeatedly, slandered in the news, what do they have in common? And that's the question that you need to be asking yourself, and saying that being part of the Biden family is not a sufficient enough answer. What everyone neglects to do is say, the system's broken. What then defines the system? It's the logical next question, but it's a big question, and so a lot of people are not comfortable answering it, or they're not even comfortable looking into it really. Because if you do, you risk this. You risk your life being ruined for no reason other than asking questions. But what it seems like to me, and I think the JQ is a big part of this, but it is a liberal regime that has been building for at least the last 200 years, based on personal freedom, hedonism, at the highest levels, Satanism, and this structure of absolute liberal freedoms. There are very clearly groups of people who take advantage of this, and it's difficult to accurately diagnose the problem because, to a certain extent, these are shadow people. There's an oligarchy. You can see how they move, but you can't see the body. You know, you go to sleep, you wake up, your cup of water is moved. You know you didn't put it there last night. You don't see who did it, but you know that someone was there doing it. It's very much how they operate, and it's honestly how you should operate if you're trying to completely bone over the world and for your gain and do whatever you want. So by definition, it's really hard to pinpoint who is doing these things, why. Well, I mean, no, you can figure out why fairly easily. But who's doing them is much harder, and it's that way by design. This is why anyone who backs down from the JQ is seemingly disingenuous, because they are a very clear majority that are causing problems, and they're one of the few groups, demographics even, that you can look to. The same is true with excuse me, frog in my throat. The same is true with Occupy Wall Street. Excuse me. Occupy Wall Street was a very specific goal. I was talking with a friend last night, and he made a great point. Occupy Wall Street was terrifying because it was fuck Wall Street. Full stop. We shut down Wall Street. That is our goal. That is an achievable goal, even for the layman, because if you have such a specific goal, you can achieve it with a little persistence. Unfortunately, what happened with Occupy Wall Street was it got co-opted super quickly because they weren't excuse me, they weren't organized. The JQ is very similar. There is a very clear goal with dismantling the Jewish mafia, and that clear goal needs to be addressed by people in power. Whether or not it summarizes the entire problem, the entire oligarchy, whether that's all Jews or Wall Street people or whether it's none, it doesn't matter. What matters is the specificity. Jewish people just happen to have a very clear idea of how to combat this, right? The Holocaust, anti-Semitism being at an all-time high forever. You know, they just have easy ammo against it. Occupy Wall Street was a little bit tougher because it came out of nowhere. And so they had to have people infiltrate it and then start subverting race things into it and, you know, stratifying it, all that stuff. But specifically what you need to look for when people are talking about this is if someone just has a boomer take and they're saying, yeah, but like they're the real criminals, disregard. It doesn't matter. It's not helpful, and it's just political masturbation. Who cares? Everyone knows. It's obvious. But if you don't see it, check this out. I pulled up this article. It's a Reuters poll, or a Gallup poll. Sorry. So this one says, I don't know if you can read that on screen or not, but it says, in general, how much trust and confidence do you have in mass media, such as newspapers, TV, radio, when it comes to reporting the news fully, accurately, and fairly? So it goes throughout the years, but if we're looking at the most recent, we're at September 2022. Okay, people who have zero faith that the news is reporting anything accurately is 40% of people polled. Not very much, still not good, 28%. So you're at almost 70% are below even average faith that our news is reporting accurately. Then you go on to a fair amount, which is just like a lukewarm, tacit approval, 27%. And then with a 7% at the top, great deal of trust in the news. Dude, nobody trusts the news. Nobody trusts anything anymore. Our country is it's a husk. It's absolutely torn from the inside, particularly if you're trying to say that we have a democratic republic. You need trust in news. You need free information in order for that to work on any level at all. Obviously, we don't have that. And because of that, things are going to continue to get worse and worse and worse until we fix that. And in order to fix that, we need to start setting very clear goals and going after them. I think the JQ is a great starting place. I think Wall Street is a great starting place. I think probably more ripe for conversation right now is the tranny gay stuff. Like, try and get involved and stop gay pride in the park. Try to get involved and stop tranny story hour at your local library, you know? These are things that are actionable, and they are very detrimental to the system and their goal of changing the conversation. Even though nobody trusts the media, we talked about this earlier with Tate. They get their point across, and they change the conversation by just sheer numbers, by hammering over and over and over and over and over with lies. And our brains have this like messed up like like exploit. They've got like it's like they open the console and they just like type in like trannies are cool, and it like doesn't go through, and they just like keep typing it until they hit no clip mode, and then all of a sudden trannies are cool. It's like they just do that with people's brains. Like, well, nobody thinks that we tell the truth, so we're just gonna keep saying it. And for some reason, it just works. It just works. And the best way to fight that, is specificity and speaking the truth relentlessly. We, as people on the right, as politically interested people, we need to be very clear. And this is what I like about Groypers, is you need to be very clear about what your goal is. Nick does a great job with this. In his fallback is always Christian futurism. It's Catholic theocracy. You know, we need to get back to this. Very clear, and just go after it. As soon as you start to get diluted a little bit, whether the conversation takes you in a different direction or whatever, you become more and more open for subversion. So the good news, and I'll switch to the white pill scene here. We haven't done many pill sections, but the good news here is it feels like there's like an opening. It feels like there's a gap in the Red Rover line starting to pop up with Tate, Sneeko on Rumble, the fact that Rumble and Kick even exist, people not trusting the media, the open hypocrisy. It feels like there's starting to become a little window where some alternative ideas can enter the battlefield. Because rest assured, we are in an information war right now. World War III will not look like a typical war. We are so firmly in an information war that World War III will be on the internet, and it will not look like storming the Capitol to take over a building or whatever, you know? And that's good and it's bad. It's good in the fact that there's less innate physical harm, and we don't want to be doing physical harm anyways, right? A peaceful solution is always better. But the downside of an information war is it's very heavily obfuscated. It's difficult to pick out who is the target, who is the enemy, and who is the friend. But there are things that you can key into, and people will reveal themselves based on how they act, or more importantly, how they're treated by the system. This is why I support Tate. This is why I support Nick. This is why I support Trump. These people are very clearly singled out by the system. They're very clearly singled out by the system, and they are attacked relentlessly. These are the good guys now, and you know it because of how they're treated. So with that litmus test, it's much easier. It's much easier to navigate, I guess. So, okay. Let me see if I got any super chats. If you guys want a super chat, there's the link. Thank you guys for being here. I saw some people from the Groiper chat come in, so appreciate you guys being here. It was nice to get added to that group. It's fun to have some more regional people that are on the same page here. Does everything make sense that I talked about? I felt like I rambled a little bit, but I think we got like we got to a general head at the end there. Besides this frog in my throat. It's just crazy. Like, I think the best thing that can happen with Trump is that the system reveals itself more than it already has. The more we can force them to show their hand, the better things become. And they clearly have weaknesses, you know? Okay. Looks like that's it. Looks like that's the show. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I will be live again. Here's my socials, just in case you guys missed them earlier. The socials right there. I will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST. Back with some more epic news. I don't know what I'm going to cover tomorrow. I do want to cover RFK on Joe Rogan, but I got to listen to it first. So if it's a slow news day, we'll go over that. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. It was another good one. Appreciate you guys.
Let him cook.
Let me cook.
Let him cook now.
Let me cook right on out of
Let him
this.
cook.
Peace.
I said,
Remember,
let him cook.
all I'm offering is the truth. Nothing more.